Once upon a time, a woman had a boy that God called to be his man. That when he grew up, he'd take God's people out of Egypt to the promised land. But the Pharaoh wanted all of the little Jewish boys to be dead because he fit their size. So his mama put him in a basket made out of reeds and took him down to the river to hide. So the daughter of the king saw him floating out there and took him home to be like her son. And he grew up in the family of the old Pharaoh, being rich and having lots of fun. But his people lived as slaves, they were beaten, they were killed. Life was really such a terrible mess. And Moses killed a guard who was beating up a Jew, and he ran into the wilderness. And he said, well, I think it's time I ought to go. Yes, I think it's time I ought to go. Well, I did something wrong and I can't take long, and I think it's time I ought to go. Well, many years later, while out taking care of sheep, Moses saw a burning, blazing tree. And a voice came out and said, Moses, you're my man. Down in Egypt, you'll speak for me. Well, old Moses, he said, no, I don't talk too well. I can't go, I must say no. And God said, Moses, go tell Pharaoh we gotta let my people go. Yes, you gotta let my people go. Well, I don't think I really wanna go. No, I don't think I really can go. Well, I don't talk too well, and this ain't very swell, and I don't think that I'm the man to go. So Moses packed up and he hit the road, and he headed off to Pharaoh's land. He found his brother amongst the Israelites, and they scheduled a meeting with the man. And Moses said, God wants his people let go. Each and every one of them should be free. And Pharaoh said, no, these people are mine, 'cause each and every one belongs to me. Yes, each and every one belongs to me. And besides that, Moses, you know what? I ain't gonna let your people go. No, I ain't gonna let your people go. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, well, I ain't gonna let your people go. Well, God told Moses to tell Pharaoh that if he didn't come forth and comply, that a bunch of terrible plagues would strike the land, and all of his people would cry. Well, Pharaoh didn't think that this God had the power to bring him right down to his knees. So he just smiled and with a wave of his hand said, Moses, just get away from me, because I ain't gonna let your people go. No, I ain't gonna let your people go. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, well, I ain't gonna let your people go. Well, it didn't take long and God struck the land with frogs, boils, flies, and hail. Well, the river turned to blood and the cows got sick. Gnats and bugs made the people wail. But nothing was so bad as what was to come on a night in that Egypt land. For the angel of death, he would strike down the first son of both beast and man. Yes, the first of both beast and man. But Pharaoh still said, I ain't gonna let your people go. No, I ain't gonna let your people go. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, well, I ain't gonna let your people go. Well, it came one night that the angel of death made a visit there to Pharaoh's land. And he struck down the firstborn son of both the beast and man. But the Jews were safe, for they killed a lamb and painted all the blood on the door. For the angel of death passed over them, and they'd remember it forevermore. They'd remember it forevermore. And then Pharaoh said, well, I think it's time you ought to go. Yes, I think it's time you ought to go. Well, listen, don't be slow. Here, take some gold. Oh, please, won't all of you go? So they all packed up and they hit the road, and they were headed to the promised land. Well, they'd been there for 100 years, the women, the children, and the men. But the big Red Sea stood in their way. They didn't know what they would do. But you'll have to stay tuned for another song, 'cause this one now is through. Yes, this one now is through. And I think it's time for me me to go. Yes, I think it's time for me to go.